So that happens for a little while, and then it's a countdown, and then it goes, there's a little red dot that tells you you're live.
You'll see on there, will you?
You can start it now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're on. Hi everyone, it's Charlotte here with two other midwives from Wallingford Birth Centre. Thank you for joining our live today. We're going to tell you a little bit about the Birth Centre, introduce ourselves, tell you a little bit about the Birth Centre, why we would want you to come here and have your baby, and also talk about continuity of care and what that means and how we are attempting to implement that. So I'm just going to introduce myself first. I'm Charlotte. I've been a midwife for approximately 10 years, just over 10 years, and I joined Wallingford Birth Centre about 3 years ago, and I'm now the team lead here. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Jamie. I'm one of the midwives who is based at Wallingford. I've been out for 3 years in community. I have also worked in the John Radcliffe and thoroughly enjoy it.
And hello, my name's Linda. I'm a midwife here at Wallingford Maternity Unit. I've worked here for about 4 years, and before that I was working at Royal Berks Hospital in Reading.
Lovely. So as we go along throughout this live, we want this to be as informative for you, and we want to gear it towards you as much as possible. So please send us in your messages as we go along, and we will stop and answer them as much as we can. If we can't answer them, we will get back to you with an answer, because we are good, but we don't know everything sometimes. So just a little bit about birth choices in Oxfordshire. First of all, we're very, very lucky actually within Oxford Trust in that there are 4 choices. Every woman has 4 choices for place of birth. One being the obstetric unit in the JR, and the second being Spires, which is what we call an alongside midwifery-led unit. And we then have 3 what we call freestanding birth centres, one up in Chipping Norton, one in Wantage, and one here at Wallingford. I haven't missed any, have I?
No.
No. And then the 4th option for birth is home. And back in 2011, there was a huge study done called the Birthplace Study. If you haven't heard of it, I would recommend you all ask your midwife for this leaflet, or you might be able to get it online. It's called Birthplace Decisions, and it really goes into a lot of detail about those 4 places and the pros and cons of delivering within each. So Wallingford is what we call a freestanding birth centre, or you may hear it referred to as a standalone birth centre. What does that mean? Well, that really means that it's a birth centre which isn't attached to the hospital. So I guess it's a little bit of an in-between a home birth and a hospital birth. So it is a midwife-led unit, and we do have all the facilities that a midwife-led unit and birth centre has and provides, but we are not attached to the hospital. You can stop me, Jamie, if there's any questions coming in. All right.
Yeah. So we'd like to just answer them as we go. So I will go through, and apologies if I miss anyone. We will come back to you as well. So the first question is from Kaylee. She's asking about the inductions at the moment, that you're concerned about your husband not being able to join you. And at the moment, we are welcoming partners into that induction process. So at the moment, you have nothing to be concerned about, because we are supportive of partners joining you for your labour assessments and your birth. There's also another question from Tanny. I'm giving birth in the Spires. I wonder what support is available, if anything, in Wallingford, my local area, once my baby has arrived.
Thank you. Is it Tanny? Yeah, thank you, Tanny. Yes, absolutely. So by your question, I assume you live in Wallingford. You'll be giving birth in the Spires and coming back to Wallingford. So we're not only a birth centre here, but we run a community team as well. And as we go through this, if I get a chance, I'll talk a bit more about that and what that means, and how we try and provide continuity throughout your pregnancy and afterwards. We will be going out to see you, hopefully, after your baby's born. The Spires will notify us that you've had your baby. We will go out and visit you, and then make a plan in conjunction with you as to how we see you And we do see you until baby's back to birth weight, which is approximately, can be anything from 2 to 4 weeks usually. We've also got lots of breastfeeding support going on, which is very much business as usual. You can call us 24 hours a day. We have someone on the line here 24 hours a day. So if you've got an issue overnight, if you've got a baby that's not feeding or something crops up, you've always got someone on the end of the phone. So we're not too far away.
And we're also offering appointments at the Children's Centre.
We are.
So we are doing
absolutely.
some postnatal appointments at our Children's Centre, which is also based in Wallingford, not far from our maternity unit. So it may be that you attend some of the appointments there. But as Charlotte said, you're welcome to call us 24/7. Any concerns at any point, don't worry about them, just give us a call.
Lovely. Some further questions. A question from Sean. Are partners able to visit if yourself and your baby were to stay in?
So I'm assuming this is for Wallingford. So the beauty of giving birth at Wallingford is you're going to have had a normal delivery. And most of our women actually go home within about 2 to 6 hours after giving birth, and your partner will stay with you that whole time until you go home. You are welcome to stay overnight. So, for example, I had a woman on Monday night delivered at 2 a.m. in the morning and stayed until the next morning. Her partner went home and then came back and picked her up to go home. I hope that answers your question. I can't answer for the JR, but at the moment I'm pretty sure partners aren't allowed to visit if they have to stay. I think you might have to arrange it 1 visit per day, I think, but don't quote me on that.
A question from Dorothy. Can we expect health visitor support after birth? I have a 10-day-old baby and I've only had a consultation over the telephone with a health visitor about weight and so forth with baby. Just to reiterate, we know that with health visitors you are getting that support, absolutely. They're very invested in the well-being of yourself and your baby postnatally. I believe that health visitors at this stage are arranging their appointments, whether that be over the telephone or face-to-face. I think it's based on very individualised circumstances, but you're absolutely right, you will be getting that support. And whilst under the midwife's care, you'll certainly have access to full midwife support if needed and as required.
It's worth, if you feel that you need your baby weight or you're concerned, it's worth calling them and asking because I'm certain there will be other options out there. So always just, if you've any concerns, just contact your health visitor and speak to them.
A question from Rose. Hoping to come to Wallingford soon. We'd love to have you. Due date is October the 1st. And can my husband be there throughout before and after birth?
Absolutely. Yeah, your husband is welcome to come in when you come in first in labour, whether that's an early labour assessment and you're sent home or whether you're coming in to stay. Your husband will be here with you throughout and afterwards until you go home.
Just Sean commenting from previous, just saying that you're under the Silver Star team. So our conversations are very Wallingford based at this stage.
Okay,
so you may have to check with the John Radcliffe if you have any concerns or any questions surrounding your birthing of your baby. Claire, I'm so glad this is live today. Yesterday I had a call from a consultant to say that I have 3 days before my due date. If it's not to work, you'll be induced quite close to your due date, and you have some concerns around this, and how that is that some of your decisions and choices may be restricted, and that you might not have the type of birth that you wish. This is really, really important that you discuss your individualised circumstances. Certainly with your midwife, she is wanting to support you in your choices and streamline your care for your birthing of your baby. So our advice to anything that's any concerns of this nature, it's really important that you contact your midwife or your consultant to discuss this a little bit further with them.
What we want you to have, Claire, or to make is an informed choice. So we give you a recommendation based on your individual circumstances. your midwife or an obstetrician can give you a recommendation on what should happen, but that might not be your choice, and that's okay. And it's important just that we have that discussion with you and help you to make an informed decision and support you with that going forward. So just please have those discussions with your midwife and your consultant going forward.
A question from Rachel. If I end up having your baby at the Spires, could you come and stay at Wallingford for some support with breastfeeding? And that I had your first baby in the John Radcliffe in September, and you didn't get as much support, I think, as you wished, and you'd love it to be more successful this time.
Okay. Rachel, unfortunately during COVID, we're not accepting transfers between the different maternity units. Pre-COVID and certainly post-COVID, we would love to have people come and stay overnight at Wallingford here and help them with breastfeeding. But we are still here. Just because you can't stay overnight doesn't mean we're not here. We are still here for you. You can come in and spend time with us, and we give you the one-on-one support you need. But unfortunately, it's the admission process between units that we're not carrying out at the moment. I hope that makes sense, and I'm sorry you had a bad experience the last time, but please contact us this time, and we'll try to help you with that.
A question from Francis. You're 39 weeks. Found out yesterday that your baby is 3/5 palpable. Does this mean he needs to keep being engaged further prior to labour? Before labour will start.
So do that one, Linda?
I'm sorry, I missed a little bit. So she's
39 weeks and baby is 3/5 palpable. And does this mean that he needs to keep being engaged further before labour to start?
Well, the likelihood is he's going to stay engaged. If he's actually in that position already, then the likelihood he's going to stay in that position. And it's just, unfortunately, a matter of waiting for events to take place. But it's a really positive sign. And you didn't say whether you're coming to Wallingford or not, but we would look forward to welcoming you when the time comes. And obviously, if you're unsure when labour starts, you can phone us at any point whatsoever for more advice and support. As they've said before, we're 24/7 here. There's no silly questions. There's no questions that we can't answer over the telephone. We'd much rather you phone us than worry about something. So, yeah, give us a call anytime you need us, and we're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
A question from Delana. It's regarding the well-being of your baby, I think in regards to feeding and vomiting. If you have a specific concern, absolutely we recommend that you call us directly on our unit number, as you'll have all in your documentation. Any concerns around baby, we're available, so we would prefer to discuss that so we can get more information from you to then advise you further. Lovely. So Jessica, hi, I'm 32 weeks pregnant, have an anterior placenta. Baby is also transverse. That's to do with the position of baby. This is your second child, and you understand she can still keep moving into position, but what happens if she doesn't? Tips to try and help her move.
Ooh. Well, 32 weeks and second baby, is it? Yeah, absolutely. Jessica, baby still can move into position. At this stage, at 32 weeks, I wouldn't be too concerned. And the fact that your placenta is anterior isn't of a concern either, or isn't going to make baby move into a certain position or not. So at this stage, I wouldn't be concerned. When you're getting towards maybe your 36-week check, when the midwife checks you at 36 weeks, that's an important one for position. What can you do to help? I mean, staying active, upright and mobile, but I'm going to guess at 32 weeks you're probably already doing that. But there is no quick fix or no solution to getting a baby to go into the head down position. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I hope that's helpful. Vicky, we have a question from yourself. If when you are having a home birth, you need to be transferred into the John Radcliffe, would your midwife stay with you at the John Radcliffe, or are you likely to have a different midwife?
Hi Vicky, thank you for the question. That's a really good question actually. So if you're having your baby either here or at home, and we do need to transfer you in, the midwife who's looking after you will go with you in that transfer and stay with you. Whether or not she stays with you when you're at the JR really just depends on what's been going on, and it mainly depends on the staffing. How long has that midwife been with you? Has she maybe been already with you for 12 hours or something like that? She may need to hand over just to get rest. But that's something that, again, you know, if you really want someone to stay with you, have that conversation. Just have those conversations with us if that's something that you know, would be of a concern for you.
Lovely. Lottie, hi there. If I need to stay over after birth, how long can my husband stay with you? I understand it's slightly different with COVID guidelines.
Husband can stay up until, and I'm speaking for Wallingford Birth Centre here alone. Husband can stay up until you leave. As I said earlier, women tends to be a very quick, so the very nature of the deliveries we have here. Women do go home generally quite quickly. So your husband will stay with you until you go home, or until you transfer to our lovely postnatal ward here, which you can see in the background, hopefully. If someone decides to stay with us for a few hours for some breastfeeding support, then we would ask your partner to leave at that point and come back and pick you up when you're ready.
Lucy, thank you for your question. The question you have is, hi, when I had my 36-week scan, they said my baby's tummy was measuring 95th centile, and should I do a diabetes check with a midwife? However, the midwife said they aren't doing those anymore. I want to have my baby at Wallingford, but worried this hasn't been picked up, and will there be any complications? So Lucy, your question is really, really important. I know that you're very close to birthing your baby. So anything of concern like that, certainly if you feel that anything may have not been addressed yet, certainly to, again, contact your midwife to make sure that they are aware that provisions can be made for you, and we wish to really streamline your care so that actually the lead up to birthing your baby is seamless, and that you have no concerns, and that you can just enjoy coming to Wallingford, hopefully. So if you can call your midwife, that would be fantastic.
Or obviously give us a call here at the unit on an individual basis. So
I would say, Lucy, give us a call.
We can have that conversation a little bit more with you and work out what needs doing for you.
Yeah.
There's no further questions.
Right.
Hold on. One more. Sorry, Jessica's just come in. So if a baby is transverse by 36 weeks, would a consultant try and move the baby, or would it be a section? And would this be done at 40 weeks? I'm wishing to come to Wallingford for birth.
Oh, Jessica, so there's lots and lots and lots of factors there. So it would just be a step-by-step discussion at each stage with if your baby was found to not be head down at 36 weeks, depending on whether you've had a baby before, this is your first baby, you would be having a full discussion to help you make a decision going forward with a midwife and a consultant in the JR, and they would make a plan in conjunction with you that's best for you going forward. Hopefully you won't have to think about that, and hopefully this baby doesn't be so naughty by 36 weeks and gets into the head down position, and you can come to Wallingford. As I say, there's lots of decisions to be made, and lots of factors which it depends on as to how that is planned out.
There's no questions, so I don't know if you want to chat a little bit more.
Okay, well, let me keep chatting then. So I was chatting about this birthplace decision study earlier. So why would someone come to a freestanding unit to give birth? What is the advantage of it? And this study, which was done in 2011 on 65,500 women, it was found that giving birth in a home or a birth centre setting was as safe as giving birth in a hospital. But the research also showed that there were huge benefits for mum and baby to giving birth in a midwife-led unit, such as a lower risk of intervention, so a lower risk of, for example, a lower chance of instrumental delivery, less use of epidurals, and greater satisfaction with care. What we aim to provide here is a home-from-home environment. So when you get into labour, you want to produce all the natural hormones, and being in your homely environment is going to help with that, and that's what we're trying to replicate in a birth centre setting. So we're trying not to when you come into hospital, that fear of coming into an unknown place with bright lights and we're all running around up and down corridors and bells going off. That's what we're trying to replicate. So that's what that study's shown, but I'd really recommend you have a look at that. Anyone that's thinking of or wondering if the freestanding unit is for them and what really is the difference, please have a look at this study. It really sets out clearly. And as it was such a large study and 65,500 women, the results are really astounding.
There's a few more questions that have just come in. Claire, hoped for a home birth and have been put on pathway D for some factors. Does this rule out birthing in a birth centre?
So again, Claire, we, as I said previously, for anyone who falls outside of the criteria, I haven't touched on criteria yet, but we have certain criteria where we recommend a birth centre setting. However, that does not mean you cannot come here. We can only recommend for you what is best and discuss the benefits and maybe the disadvantages of coming here or the risks involved with coming here. But we want to do that with you. So these are discussions that we would want you to have with your midwife, with a consultant midwife, with a consultant obstetrician. So please, if you've got individual concerns like that, or you feel that you fall outside the criteria for giving birth here, it does not mean necessarily that you cannot give birth here. It just means we need to have further discussions with you and help you come to the right decision.
Question from Rose. In terms of the facilities at Wallingford, do you have speakers or would you need to bring your own? And you'd really like a water birth, and is that likely to be available? So Linda?
So we have 2 pools here at Wallingford. So we have 2 birthing pools, that's absolutely fine. We do have Wi-Fi, so we can actually put your music through our system. It is a little bit temperamental at times, so there are times when it's working brilliantly and times when it tends to go offline slightly, so we apologise for that ahead of time. We do have speakers here, but sometimes we just have people come in and plug their phone into speakers so we can play whatever playlist you want if you bring it in with you. We don't have radios. We have got one, but most people choose their own music, so that's absolutely fine. We have fairy lights. We have the aromatherapy. We have the aromatherapy. We have all sorts of things to try and make it feel home from home for you. The other thing you can always do is bring a pillow in from home or something that smells of home, something that makes you feel more comfortable. If there's specific things that you're thinking of bringing, just give us a ring and just check it through with us. But we, as we said before, we try and make it as much home from home as we can, so it's a nice, relaxed environment for you.
I mean, in terms of water birth and having an available pool, we really try hard to facilitate your birth choices. And if that's part of what you wish, then absolutely we do our utmost to make sure that that is available for you.
It's a really valid question. It's a question that a lot of people ask, availability of the pools, but somehow it does just work. And I think it's the very nature of, again, the deliveries we have here, that the room actually isn't in use, or the pool isn't in use for a very long period of time. So it does tend to work.
Question from Georgia. You have high blood pressure, you're on medication for that, and you're hoping to have a water birth. Is it possible?
Okay, again, Georgina, anything is possible, okay, but it's having that discussion with your midwife. I'm not sure if plan has been put in place that you need to deliver at the JR. There is one birthing pool available on the JR, so it's just about having that discussion first of all with your midwife before you go into labour, to ensure that that everything has been covered, and that when you get to the JR, if the pool is available, but there is one there, and there's also 3 pools up on Spires as well, which might be an option.
A question from Gav. Why has the nuchal measurements been withdrawn? So,
as far as I'm aware, they haven't.
We're not aware that they have.
No.
We've been very fortunate in our trust that they've been going ahead.
Yeah.
So if you have any comment on that, or different, you're welcome to message and we can find out further information if that's what you need.
Yeah, all scans have been going ahead as normal within the trust, so we haven't been given any other information otherwise.
And just to second comment from Gav, as you know, as we know, the longer it goes, the accuracy of Downs increases with time. Is it being replaced by the NIPT? As we said, you know, as far as we're aware, things are proceeding as normal. So if there's any real concerns surrounding the screening, do speak with your midwife so that they can get the right information to you and make sure that you're being offered and discuss that, you know, as needed. Lenka, when having a first baby and it's breech, can I use a birthing pool? I've heard that due to high risk, it's not allowed.
Yeah, so Linka, we're probably the wrong people to ask because we deliver very few breech babies here at Wallingford, but there is a breech team within the JR. So if your baby is discovered to be in the breech position from 36 weeks onwards, you will be referred to the breech team, and I would say this is a discussion that you have with them. Okay.
Gav, just to follow up again with a really good comment, as to single dads supporting your surrogate mother, fantastic, congratulations. What is the best pieces of kit that we can include in the hospital bags? You're going to be in Oxford and mother in Wales, so sadly may not be allowed in. So you just want to be prepared, don't you?
You want to? Best pieces of kits we can include in her hospital bag. So I assume you're getting a hospital bag together to send with mum. Okay.
Yeah. So we were talking about this earlier, actually, Gav, and we were suggesting that snacks are a really good thing. Now it depends on the hospital where she's having her baby, because the difficulty is we don't know. You haven't said to us what facilities they've got. We used to recommend straws, but I know plastic straws are now a no-no, so we have paper straws. We have an ice machine here, which works really well. So cold drinks are absolutely brilliant. Snacks, anything that you think that she particularly would like to snack on is worth having. Maybe just a little luxury item is always nice. A nice smelling hand cream or some aromatherapy.
A lip balm.
Or a lip balm is perfect. Yeah, things like that. And and I'm not sure what she's planning on wearing. But that conversation as to how she feels comfortable and what she's wanting to do. I think be led by her. If you have contact with her, be led by what her choices are and what she would like to do.
Some nice new pyjamas to get into after
or
birth.
a night shirt or something comfortable.
And just enough for your your baby. You don't need to pack everything because you can.
And the outfit you'd like your baby to be wearing. That's always
so it's
really
just
nice.
what you need for your baby.
Hat for baby. Little hat.
Or a cardigan is always useful, isn't it? Just in case they're a bit chilly when they're first born. But congratulations.
Lovely. Justina, is raspberry leaf tea okay to take if you have endometriosis?
I'm afraid I can't answer that question. I don't know if you guys have any knowledge.
I think at this stage, again, because your background is very bespoke to yourself, I think the best advice really would be to get the correct information to you. Is just to have a chat with your midwife or consultant, just to make sure. We wouldn't want to be ill-advising you on anything that we're unsure of at this stage. So have a chat with your midwife.
And unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of research done about raspberry leaf. It's one of those things that's quite difficult to give information on.
Yeah.
Kerry, apologies if this has already been covered. Not a problem at all. Happy to answer any questions. I joined slightly late, but at the moment with COVID, what are the rules with partners during birth? Can my partner be in with me from the initial assessment throughout the whole of labour?
Hi Kerry, welcome. Yes, we've already covered this, but happy to just go over it again because I'm sure there's others have just joined also. At the moment in Wallingford here, your partner will be with you throughout the whole time you are here, right from you come in early labour assessment until you go home after giving birth to your baby.
Lovely. And Gav, you've got those customised slippers
Brilliant.
from Mum, so that's fantastic. She will love you for those. It's just all those personal touches will really enhance your experience. I know it's difficult with the distance that you may have and not being allowed in, but it's any personal touches that you can make to creating your birthing experience your own, then absolutely.
And even maybe something like a little note in, yeah, chivvying things along. Just a supportive note may, when things are getting tough, might be the touch that's needed.
So no further questions at this stage. We will come back to any if they pop up, but
Yeah.
I'll let Charlotte continue.
Keep sending your questions in. You're pretty much answering all our questions, all what we were saying as we're going along anyway. So just wanted to touch a little bit on continuity of care, and because it's one of the benefits of coming to give birth at somewhere like Wallingford, because you may actually be looked after by a midwife, and again, I know I'm talking a lot about studies, but part of the Better Births agenda, which covered a national maternity review, what came out of that was the benefits around continuity of care. So the benefits around knowing your midwife, having appointments with the same midwife antenatally, hopefully throughout labour, and then seeing that same person afterwards. And here within Wallingford, we are currently working towards a team continuity of care model. We're currently working in a team continuity of care model, not working towards. So we're divided into little sub-teams, depending on which area you live in or where your GP surgery is. You will be looked after by what is called your named midwife. And hopefully all of you will know the name of your midwife. If you don't, please ask or please find out. Really important. And hopefully you'll get to know her, develop a relationship, build trust. It's really important because we know how frustrating it is for you if you keep seeing different people, especially if you've got, complications or issues or things going on. It's very frustrating to have to keep repeating yourself. So we do try, where possible, you see the same person. And then we try to get you to meet the team as well. So within that named midwife is then backed up by a sub-team of midwives, usually no more than 4 or 6. And hopefully you've seen one of them as well, or you've been in here for appointments and met us. And yeah, so just going back on our statistics for the last 2 months, almost 50% of women who came and delivered here knew their midwife in labour, and we're really proud of that. This is something that we're working towards, and it is really important for women, and women report a greater satisfaction with their care if they know their midwife. I think there's more questions.
So there's a question from Jessica. Is the show a reliable indicator that labour is imminent? You've had some signs that may be occurring, and you're just concerned about the length of time, and any other indications that point towards the start of labour. So it's always an interesting one. When is labour going to take hold? So for some women, they will see the show and they will be aware of it, and it may come away in its entirety, and other times it may come away in stages. And for some women, not at all. So not to worry if you don't, because it's something that you just miss. But it is a very, very positive sign. It's a reassuring sign that things are starting to change and move into the right direction for labour. So it's difficult, again, to say how long, because every woman is different, and even if you've birthed multiple times before, your labours can all be very, very different. So I just would say have faith in your body and trust in your body to, trust that things are happening as they should if you're seeing a show. But any concerns, again, your midwife is available, we're just always addressing the signs of labour, of what to look out for, and you should be having those conversations with your midwife so you're aware of when to make that phone call. Very kindly, one of our team have just posted the birthplace study so that it's available for you to have a read.
Brilliant, fantastic,
yeah.
Thank you.
So criteria.
Yes, criteria. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
So if we look at what the criteria is, that would be really useful.
Yeah. So criteria for coming to somewhere like a midwife-led unit. You're healthy or well. So by that we mean healthy and well. Sorry, not healthy or well. Healthy and well. By that we mean you have no medical conditions, or if you've had a previous baby, you haven't had any complications either in the labour or the birth of that. Okay. You're pregnant with one baby. And it's not twins, because that might complicate things a little bit further. Baby's in the head down position, and when you give birth, it's between 37 and 42 weeks inclusive. Have I missed anything?
No.
I think that's it. But as I've said previously, you know, you may be slightly out of that. You may have a medical condition that is well controlled, is stable. You may have had a previous birth that you had some complication, but you still want to give birth in Wallingford, or you want to have a home birth. Please chat to us, because it is possible. It's just about having those discussions.
Lovely.
Yeah.
There's a question come in from Jenny. It's not really a question. You're just not sure that you feel it's possible to build a relationship with your midwife, as your appointments have been phone-based on some occasions, and that you've seen her very briefly in some of your pregnancy, and about wearing masks and things. So maybe that acts as a bit of a barrier, and no idea what she looks like. So I appreciate it's really hard if you feel you haven't had that relationship and rapport yet with your midwife. All midwives aim as a sub-team or a team of Wallingford. We are one big team of midwives anyway, but we always want to make sure that you know who your named midwife is and that you are building that relationship. There always is some factors that may be reasons as to why certain things happen, but we would recommend that you give us a call. We can put you in touch with your midwife, make sure that you have that communication. It's also difficult in the early term part of pregnancy because you don't have that many appointments initially. You will have your booking appointment, and then you may have scans and things. So it's usually the latter stages of your pregnancy that appointments tend to get a little bit more hands-on, again, a little bit closer together. But like I say, so it's really important for us that you have contact with your midwife. So if you have concerns that you're not seeing your midwife, do give us a call, and we will try and make sure that they contact you so then that you have that.
We do, Jenny, just on that note, we do appreciate how frustrating it is, and it's as frustrating for us as well. The appointments have been less throughout COVID, and wearing masks obviously is a barrier to building a relationship, and we do fully understand and appreciate that, and we'll try and do our best. But if you want to chat further about that, just give us a call.
And I know you just mentioned about not knowing or seeing who your midwife is, and I do appreciate it is nice to know who your midwife is. We are at the moment aiming to put towards some leaflets and things like that to demonstrate our sub-teams and how our systems work, so that when you're allocated a named midwife and that sort of sub-team, small close-knit of budding midwives, if you like, that you will have sort of a little bit more information about their names and who they are and so forth. We're also available on Wallingford on our Facebook page, on our birthing page, so that you can familiarise yourself with our team and our staff, just to get a bit of an idea of who's who.
Yeah, it really depends what gestation you are, Jenny, as well, because throughout COVID, up until the 28-week mark, we have been seeing people less frequently. So hopefully after 28 weeks, you're starting to see your midwife more frequently.
A question from Sarah. Hello all, fifth boy, 39 and 2 weeks, third sweep, has 3 centimetres dilated, fantastic. How likely is it to be effective with this sweep, please?
Well, sweeps have been shown to be fairly effective, but sometimes they don't work. It doesn't, we do 3 sweeps, but your body is going to do what it does. We can try and get things moving for you, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And as Jamie said in one of the chats earlier, trust your body. You can do this. It will happen. It's frustrating while you're waiting, I know, but if you are struggling and you want more conversation about what you can do or what we can do to support you, then please call us, because I know when you've had babies before, it can be very frustrating when things aren't just happening and you've got a plan in place and it's not quite working to that time. Give us a ring, we'll see what we can do for you. We are here for you 24/7, and hopefully things will happen quickly for you.
Fantastic. Lottie, I have a face-to-face appointment with my midwife at 28 weeks. Are all the appointments face-to-face after this?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yes,
all of that,
yes.
As I said before, all the appointments get that tad bit closer, closer together at that latter stage of pregnancy, and all appointments therefore are face-to-face from that point onwards. So it's just that early stage that occasionally you might get a telephone conversation, but I think once you get to that stage, everything, it should be, as I say, business as usual. You should see your midwife.
Someone's kindly just popped on a tour
Yeah.
that we did. So if you want to have a look, apologies that we're not doing any physical tours of the unit at the moment, for obvious reasons. But we have done a little homemade video, which is on our Facebook page, and the link has just been put in the comment section there, which goes through the unit and shows you around, shows you the birthing room. So thanks for doing that.
And Jenny, just back to you. You're 20 weeks at the moment, and that you're having, you're likely to be having more face-to-face soon. We know it's not a complaint, and we do appreciate you're raising all the valid concerns that everybody else will be having. So it's an excellent question. Absolutely, everything should revert to face-to-face for you very soon.
Lovely. So just to talk a bit about around the women that come here to Wallingford and how they labour and deliver. So approximately, again, I've got the stats from the last few months in front of me here, and approximately 70 to 80% of women laboured in water that delivered here over the last 2 months, and 40 to 45% actually delivered in the water. Okay. Our transfer rate, because I know that's something that people are very concerned about, is maybe, you know, if you come to a freestanding birth centre, you're not in the hospital. So if you need any medical or obstetric support, transfer rates tend to be, for first-time mums, anything between 20 to 40%. Correct me if I'm getting this wrong. And for second-time mums, about 10%. And again, that depends on whether they're very different whether you're in labour or not. Most of our transfers, just on that note, I would say, are non-emergency transfers. So, for example, we've transferred you in after the baby's born just because the baby has passed a stool in labour, what we call meconium, and we transfer you in just for further observations of the baby. So most of them are non-emergency transfers. But if anyone wants to ask any more questions on transfers, please do.
Just another question from Zoe. So post 28 weeks, how often should I be seeing my midwife if it's a low risk pregnancy?
Sorry, I missed that question, Jamie.
So post 28 weeks, how often do you see your midwife? So you are on routine care really from 28 weeks. There isn't a lot of difference between the COVID guidelines and usual routine care. You see your midwife at 28 weeks face to face. You will also see at this stage there will be a 31-week appointment, which most midwives during COVID have been covering instead of the GP appointments that usually are scheduled. You will see your midwife face to face at 34 weeks, 36 weeks. There's also potentially, depending on your parity, about a 38-week appointment. And again, you know,
it depends on whether it's your first, second, or second baby. Zoe, as to how often you see the midwife. There is a schedule of care in your blue notes, but I do appreciate that's not the schedule we're working to during COVID. But the next time you see your midwife, just ask them. It does differ slightly whether it's your first baby or your second baby.
A question on post-birth. No questions are a silly one, honestly. Due next Thursday, fantastic. Planning on breastfeeding. Breastfed your first and all was really good. I know it's some time ago for you, 11 years I think you're mentioning. And things have changed potentially. However, your milk hasn't come in yet. Will my milk definitely come in either before or after I give birth?
Yes, your milk will come in. Usually it comes in after you've had your baby. So I think you probably remember that initially you have the colostrum, and you may well already be leaking some colostrum. Some ladies leak colostrum quite early on in the pregnancy. Sometimes it's not until you're near your due date. And then your milk will change. And because you've had a baby before, that might be faster this time round. Sometimes we talk about the time gap between having babies, but bodies are usually quite clever and they can remember things. So I would imagine that your milk would come in quite quickly. And the more you do skin to skin with your baby, that's something that we recommend. The more that you nurse your baby, the more likelihood that the milk is going to come in quicker. But we are here to support you with that, as every midwife will be wherever you choose to have your baby.
An important one, Charlotte. How long is the transfer to the John Radcliffe?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The transfer to the John Radcliffe, so we can have, it depends again on whether it's what type of an emergency it is. We can have an ambulance here within 7 minutes, and if we blue light, we can be in the JR within 20 minutes from here. As I said, most of them aren't emergencies, so we're just going as quick as we would get in the car. However, if we need to, if en route we need to then revert to an emergency, we do. But on average, we're talking 20 minutes for an emergency transfer from here.
Jessica, you wasn't offered a sweep at 39 weeks. Is that normal? When do stretch and sweeps usually happen? You felt not a lot of discussion around was initiated by the midwife. Apologies for that. Not your name midwife at Wallingford about. Not my name midwife at Wallingford, about stretch and sweeps, other than booking in a 41-week appointment and then a sweep then. And it was a quick appointment, and you felt you're just limited with the discussion, I think, that was held around it.
Okay, Jessica. So yes, sweeps aren't routinely offered at 39 weeks. So sweeps only occur after 40 weeks. If a woman is having sweeps at 39 weeks, it will be for a specific reason, whether that's obstetric or medical, and that will be a set plan, a birth plan that has been put in place by a consultant having sweeps. Because we know that sweeps generally don't work, okay, before 40 weeks in most women. So, you know, the discomfort of going through a sweep at that point isn't of any benefit. It has been shown to having one earlier than that. So no sweeps aren't routinely offered before 40 weeks. If a woman is having one before 40 weeks, it'll be for a specific reason dependent on her individual circumstances. What I would say is, if you want to have a discussion back to your 41 week, during COVID, we've been offering the sweep at 41 weeks. So that's quite normal during COVID times to have been offered that. But I'm sorry you felt that was a quick assessment. Please call us. We're here, and any midwife here is more than happy to go through with you in more detail chat to you more about what a stretch and sweep entails and your choices and options for induction of labour. Please give us a call.
Question from Marion. 40 weeks and first baby, having a sweep in an hour. Might see you in the next couple of days. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your live stream. Find them really helpful.
Thank you, Marion, and good luck. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Justina, from our experience, does a very, very active baby sometimes mean an earlier arrival? You're 33 weeks at present. Baby's always been very active and doesn't stop wiggling quite consistently during the day. Head is 3/5 palpable.
What do you think, Jamie? Does an active baby?
It's so difficult. It's so difficult because everybody's pregnancy and the way their babies are active are so different. And if we could foresee, we would be. Be able to make our lives a little bit easier, I think. But it is difficult. But you raise the point of your baby moving, and you should absolutely, it's a really valid point to make at this stage, that be aware of your baby's movements. They are really important. And for those women that feel they may not have that access quite the same to the midwives for whatever reason, we are here. We do want to know about your baby's movements, and if you have any concerns surrounding them. And it's the best way that you can monitor your baby's well-being is really to focus in and be aware of those movements and be confident that you're getting them. And if you have any concerns around them, then we would want to know. But yes, we don't know quite how that translates to birth.
No. Unfortunately not.
Lovely. So Georgina, you're 31 weeks pregnant. Your consultant suggested that you give birth on the delivery suite at the John Radcliffe due to blood pressure issues. What things should you consider for a birth plan?
Ooh. Want to answer that one, Jamie? All right. Sorry, go for it.
So we would suggest that if the plan together with your consultant has been made for yourself to birth on the delivery suite, it's always in the well-being of yourself and your baby. But we still would really recommend that you can make that experience your own and really create the environment that you're aiming to achieve. I know a lot of people can feel sometimes disappointed if they don't get their choices met in terms of a midwifery-led unit. But you can translate, again, the things, of making that environment your own at the John Radcliffe. You can move furniture and change the outlay of it. You can bring your own comforts from home. Again, the John Radcliffe also has fantastic things, everything that Wallingford has in terms of birthing balls and aromatherapies. The midwives are fantastic, they are supportive, and they would want to make sure that they're creating the birth experience as best as they can to that you're aiming to achieve. So really just home in on the things that are important to you. You can take your own playlist, again, all of those things, and take them to the John Radcliffe, and just try and take as much control with that space as much as you can.
Yeah, a water birth, as I said earlier, is also an option. You could also have a discussion with the consultant, if that's, or your midwife, about the spires. If you really wanted to give birth in a midwife-led unit, and you were really set on that, you could ask the question: is spires an option, the midwife-led unit, which is in the John Radcliffe as well. But I think Jamie's covered most of it, just about making it really personal to you.
A question from Emma: can you get induced if needed in the Horton?
I don't know.
No.
No.
We're not sure about that, given that this is quite a Wallingford discussion. But again, go back to your midwife, have the conversation, because it's really important that if you have any questions that we aren't unable to answer here, that we get the answers.
I think the answer is all inductions take place in the JR. I think that's the answer to that question, but not 100% sure.
Emma, thank you so much for your session today. It's been really informative. That's good for us to know. Really over the moon to hear you have an ice machine.
Well, it's ice, not necessarily a machine.
It's
but they have ice.
in the form of staff. We are the ice machines. You won't run out of ice.
Yeah, you won't run out of ice.
No.
So a question from Laura. With regards to stretch and sweeps, would you be able to have one before 41 weeks if you really wanted a midwife-led birthing unit? Having been induced once before, you would like to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, so Laura, again, these are all valid questions and concerns. Just speak to your midwife. That's something that you can chat to your midwife, chat about the pros and cons of having a couple of sweeps rather than one sweep, because you might actually, after that chat, decide, no, I don't want one any earlier than 41 weeks actually. So just have those discussions, have those chats. Anything's possible, yeah. That's what I would say. It's just about having the chat and putting the plan in place for you. Obviously, you've been induced before, and we do understand your concern about you want to avoid that again if possible. So yeah, we'd like to chat to you about that.
So there's no further questions at the moment. If there is any over the next short bit of time, we'll answer them, but we've probably got another 5 minutes. Rebecca's just come in. You're 35 weeks pregnant, really struggling with sleeping, particularly on your left side, which it has been recommended. Any advice?
Just sleep where you're comfortable, I think. I mean, I know we recommend certain things, but sometimes, in the middle of the night, most ladies move around, and if you're anything like a lot of ladies that I speak to, you're up and down to the toilet half the night anyway. I think get yourself comfortable, try and make sure that the room is a comfortable temperature for you. If you want to use some aromatherapy or something like that in the room, do. Try and make sure that you're not too hot, not too cold, that you're quite comfortable. I know there's talk about, turning off TVs and all those sorts of things, but maybe play a bit of music, try and find something that works for you. But don't worry too much about positions. Get yourself comfortable, because in late pregnancy it can be quite hard to get into a comfortable position. So pillows, cushions, whatever works for you, but don't overthink it, because it's really hard to get sleep late in pregnancy anyway. So just get your rest when you can.
Lucy, 33 weeks pregnant and fine at bedtime, but your sinuses get blocked and you struggle to breathe. Is this normal?
Okay. I'm guessing you are referring to, I'm not sure if you've got an ongoing sinus problem, Lucy, and again, that's not something that we are familiar with or could answer. What I would suggest is that you maybe chat, if you've got an ongoing issue, and you're finding that it's exacerbated at night, maybe speak to your GP. There may be some medication you can get, really simple medication that would just help with that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So just to finish really on that note, I think questions have have come to an end. We hope it's been really helpful. We have ongoing information. We appreciate things are changing all the time, and we are aiming to keep women as informed and updated as best as we can via our website and the birthing website that we have on Facebook, and also via Oxford Maternity Voices Partnerships. But again, we're available for any questions. We do appreciate they might spark a few more when we go away. But just give us a call, and we're happy to help at any stage.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for joining
Take
us.
care.
Bye. Let's see.
Bye. Bye. Bye.